Hello everybody and welcome to Alternative Interactions. I'm Gary. We join me on another little walk and I actually got myself a selfie stick now, so hopefully make it a bit easier on the arm. So we shall see. Welcome to Alternative Interactions, and we're for another walk and Babble in the countryside. And what we're going to be doing today is it's an old lake that I used to fish many years ago in a state lake, which is Licklin Lake, Licklin Hall. It's a very interesting place, and as we walk up from the entrance, there we go. Let's have a look at the lake. There we go. So it's a big country park really these days, and we have a dammed wall, as you can see over my shoulder. It's all dug by hand, and very nice too. Very nice too. So I've fished here a lot in the past, not so much these days. Go for a gate. Yeah, so it's a lovely walk, part of the countryside in Norfolk, which we're really blessed to have. So today I thought have a little talk about money. I'm sure I'll get sidetracked while I'm here talking about something else, but today let's talk about money, shall we? Right, so at the moment, and hopefully the wind's not too bad, by the way. Out in nature it is what it is. The old system, Babylonian cursed monetary system, is still trickling along slowly. It's very interesting at the moment. We have a lot of stuff going on, really, to be fair, and yeah, it's very interesting times. Back in there so it doesn't fall out. Yeah, very interesting times. One of the big things, well, there's a couple of big things going on really at the moment. One is the debt, the USA debt. They had an auction recently, and this auction, the Fed ended up buying most of the debt. So that's quite an interesting one. That is. I think there's something like 8 trillions worth of debt to come up and be resold this year for the American debt. 8 trillion's a lot of money, and so they've got to find countries around the world, or big organisations around the world, that will buy this debt. And the problem is, at the moment, as these countries' economies shrink themselves, we have all these problems as well. The market liquidity just isn't there anymore, and so people are starting to struggle. And this is countries as well that start to struggle. When I say people, I mean countries and organisations. They can also see the fragility of America currently and the system, and so they're rather shy on buying the bonds, and so the Federal Reserve's had to buy American debt bonds fundamentally in the auction to make the auction go as it should do. Just change that bit. That's better. As it should do, and that's not good news. That's not a good look, because fundamentally what that means is the Fed has created out of fresh air trillions or billions of dollars to purchase debt, and all that can do is debase the value of the currency, the fake money, the cash that we have in our pockets, or you guys have in your pockets in America. So it's a real bad sign. The reverse repo, what are you going to say, what's the reverse repo? But reverse repo is basically, sorry, it's dogs miles away, but on water everything sounds a lot closer. Yeah, the reverse repo is fundamentally a slush fund for the banks. So what we get is, at the end of the day, when the banks have to tally up and divvy up all what they've got, balance the books as such, what we get is some banks can't, and so they have to borrow money overnight for the liquidity to keep the bank afloat. It's really, yeah, it really is like that. And so what we get is this system called the reverse repo comes in. Now the interest rate on that is normally 2%. It has gone up to 10% in the past when the banks are falling out with each other. But the basis for this reverse repo, the underlying financial stability of this system, is USA debt bonds. And so they're not selling the debt bonds to other countries and establishments. It makes it sort of like, oh dear, oh dear. So this is quite interesting and very, very serious potentially. And so if the banks can't settle their debts at the end of the day, or use a standard system that they believe and have faith in, then fundamentally the system falls down and collapses, and that's the banks collapsing. So I'm not saying they're going to just yet, but it's very interesting that we have this kind of scenario. So yeah, the whole system's started to get pinched at the moment. So I think what we'll do is just walk down here. You know, I'm by a lake. I'll show you something. So just watch my step, because it is, there we go. Now here we are, and you can see behind me, hopefully, that's Blickling Hall. Anne Boleyn used to stay there, and Henry used to go there and see her, and yeah, very interesting too. This is an area I used to fish quite a bit years ago. You can see the lake now stretches right behind us. So yeah, liquidity wise, it's very, very interesting that we're starting to see strain and stress in the markets, which is never a good thing, obviously. And you know, it's only going to cause one outcome fundamentally. Is that the rates are going to go higher, borrowing's going to become more difficult, and the debt that's produced by the banks is going on a bit. We have like a gate system that you have to go through. There we go. Yeah, so we have this system where the debt is now becoming an issue of balancing the books at night time. And like I said, with the Fed buying the debt bonds, it's really interesting. Now, as a side note to this, we know there's issues because something that happened a few days ago which I was going to talk about a few days ago, but the fact that the Fed has had to buy its own debt, or America's own debt, and no one was interested in buying it, fundamentally is very, very telling. Now, what we also have here, and is Japan. Now, Japan holds 1.1 trillion, yes, 1.1 trillions worth of USA debt, and they're obviously feeling a little bit left out in the cold by America. They've been a very loyal ally, and the yen carry trade, by kind of fundamentally destroying their own economy, have facilitated the American banks and the American institutions, big UK institutions, to purchase yen and dollars at 0% interest, make up a bit of interest, and then sell it back again, and it's all big fiddle, it's all big con. And I think the Japanese are waking up to the fact that America's been using them as a slush fund, and so with all these trade tariffs and bits and pieces going on, I think that the Japanese are feeling a little bit out of it. Now, the thing with Japan that you have to remember or understand is that Japan's got no natural resources, no minerals. Possibly the reason why they lost or were eventually subsumed during World War II. I know dropping a couple of bombs on them didn't help, but they had no infrastructure. They only had what they could import in, and that has stayed the same really. I mean, infrastructure wise, they've also got factories and all that, but they don't have their own oil, they don't have everything that they need. Now, America's kind of laid the gauntlet down last week, saying make a choice. Now, historically, China and Japan really have not got on well with each other. Don't like each other at all. But this week, China and Japan joined forces, and Japan turned its back on America. Japan fell in line with China and the Asian countries, you know, Thailand, Vietnam. Now this is big, this is really big. This isolates America, and one of the biggest debt carriers of their finances has just jumped ships basically and gone to China, which is a very, very, very interesting thing, and one that will cause some issues. I might just looking down, I'm trying to do a different way. There we go. Let's see if I can get it back up again. There we go. Yeah, so this is going to cause some big issues, and I'm not sure how it's going to play out particularly well for America. Now, I've spoken before about America and why they're doing the tariffs, and they're fundamentally trying to get manufacturing back into America again. Remove the manufacturing that was outsourced and off-sourced to Asian countries with lower wages and cheaper costs, and move it around. And so I can understand what Trump's doing. He hasn't got a lot of choice. He knows the system's going to crash very, very soon. And it's not a system that he put in place, it's the old guard system. You know, it's the Babylon cursed monetary system. And so it's very, very interesting. Here we go, we're quite close to Blickling Hall now. I might park up and do a little thing on Blickling Hall because it's quite interesting about some of the renovations and when they did them. So yeah, let's walk back now. Yeah, so we've got a very, very interesting sort of, it's like the sun's glaring now, but it's what it is. So we've got a very interesting situation where Japan has signed an agreement with China, which means Japan can now get its rare earth minerals, steel and everything else it needs, oil, and it's securing its future. And it's securing its future with the biggest landmass closest to it. Wind now, hopefully you can still hear me. So yeah, we've got a very interesting situation where for the first time since World War II, Japan has fundamentally jumped ships. Now I don't know if the Normie News is reporting that or not, but all that will do is create more volatility in the American debt bond market. Hence the Feds had to buy more bonds because the Japanese ain't going to buy them anymore. The other thing is, I mean, I spoke before about China holding a lot of debt bonds, and obviously China's got its own problems, as one of the comments quite rightly pointed out, and I said, you know, that China could drop their debt bonds and crash the market whenever they wanted fundamentally. Well, so can Japan. But what the comment pointed out, that's Twilight Mist, thank you, and I was only sort of like going over it superficially, was the fact that there are big issues in China at the moment with the workforces. I think there's payment issues, and these tariffs are causing issues, and I think we've now got a huge amount of youngsters in non-compliance mode, so they're not going to work. I mean, if you're not going to get paid, why go to work? And so we've got a lot of unrest in China, a lot of unrest. Reports of factories being burnt down for non-payment of wages. So it's a very interesting situation. Hello. Yeah, so it's a very interesting situation financially, and one that will cause China big issues. I know China's just adjusted some of the rates down to try and stimulate stuff, but the non-compliance of people is a big deal. For the purposes of me talking about what I talk about, I'm not including these issues, but I am fully aware of them, and that China is at a crossroads in many, many ways, as is all the world. You know, I mean, the Chinese people are going to be feeling these ascension symptoms and all the stuff that's going on in the world as much as we are. We're all connected, we're all one, and financially we're all one as well now, so it's going to be a very interesting time. So with the American debt not being purchased, it's fundamentally quantitative easing, printing of money, and all that will do is debase the value of the American dollar. And with the debasement of the American dollar, it will cause many more issues. Hello. Yeah, it'll cause many more issues. I think people think I'm quite mad walking around with a selfie stick talking to myself. It's not normal in Norfolk. Again, not a lot of things aren't normal in Norfolk that you'd want to carry on from anywhere else, but there we go. So yeah, we've got big issues with the debasement of the money, and the fact the Fed's now coming in and purchasing debt. China's got issues. Japan has just sidled with China in the governmental side for what's going on, and very, very interesting, very, very, very interesting times, to say the least. It's noticeable that gold had a little bit of a correction and came up, and when I say correction, all I mean is that the illegal cartel bankers dropped the price just enough to make a few quid, knowing it was going to jump back straight up again. You know, this is insider trading. This is bullion banks making money while they can, illegally so, and it's no more so obvious the silver market. With the silver market, what we've currently got is huge deliveries out of the silver market initially, and everyone was going, whoa, you know, huge deliveries, this is it, they're draining it, they're draining the silver. But actually what it was just one bank pretending to transfer to another bank, and that bank then transfers back to that secondary bank again to make it look like the market is flowing really well and there's lots of liquidity, and in actual fact nothing moved anywhere, and it was a complete scam and a con. And so for everybody who's wondering about the silver market, that's where we are. Hello. Yeah, so everyone who's wondering about the silver and what's going on with the silver market, it's just the manipulation of the market continues at a pace, because you know there's probably 200 paper ounces of gold per physical ounce of gold held by the bullion banks and the central banks, and 700, 800, 900, 800 perhaps, 700-800 paper ounces per silver. And the big bullion banks all hold major shorts, as in they don't physically hold the stock, and so they're trading a year's worth of digging every day to try and make those that don't know think that there's lots of silver about and there's no problem, and the price can be as it is. I mean, having silver 100-to-1 ratio, it's just bonkers. It's just bonkers. And for me, and I've said this for a long while now, from my understanding of what I've learned, as soon as silver starts going up and the market value of silver comes up to what it should be, we're going to see some of the big banks go, and very quickly. And this is the end, you know, this is the end game financially for many companies, and that's when the fun really starts to go. So as soon as the silver really starts to hit off, it will. Just try and shield the microphone a bit if that helps. And gold wise, at the moment with gold, we have most of the countries around the world trying to get their gold back into their own possession. London's been drained dry of the gold. They never had it anyway, because they're doing leasing and swaps, and every bar of gold is going from bank to bank to bank for the audits to show that they've got the gold, when they haven't, because there's only one piece of gold being moved around all the time. You know, the real cons going on. And again, this is the thing that I spoke about before with China. They've probably got more gold than anybody, and so regardless of what happens fundamentally within China itself, he who holds the gold, when all the cards get laid out on the table, holds the best hand. It's the poker game. That poker game is playing out right now, and so we are going to see more and more stress on the American dollar. You know, gold going up a couple $100 a day will become quite normal. And remember, this isn't gold going up in value. This is the devaluation of the fiat notes. This is the devaluation of the money, our purchasing power, the worthless, backed by nothing money. And again, Trump knows this. You know, in Europe we're in real trouble. UK particularly, we have no manufacturing left, and we have a leader who's intent on zero emission carbon, and that includes the zero emission carbon of us, the people. We're seeing this in many countries as well. I mean, the recent, let me just stand up here, it's nice. Just want to have a look out here on the platform. Yeah, what we have, and we're seeing as well recently, is sorry, looking out onto this, the water's gin clear. Oh, you know what I'm like. You know what I'm like. I'm terrible. We've got, don't know if you can see them, a pair of great crested grebes. Hopefully you can. But they're in their mating rituals, and they're getting ready to breed and nest up currently, and absolutely beautiful to see. Absolutely beautiful to see. So hopefully you can see them. So let's concentrate again. Completely lost the thread. Yeah, financially wise, the debasement of the currency continues across Europe. Germany, manufacturer. I mean, Germany were the beating heart of manufacturing in Europe, and they're on their knees. You know, you have to look at the motorbike sales of KTM. They're on their knees. VW, the full lot. And again, we have all these cars with these chips, and who makes the chips? China. You know, this is why Trump's trying to get industry back into America, so that you can start making their own chips, so at least they can repair things and keep things going. A modern car these days is a computer on wheels, and when that computer goes wrong, you need to put a new chip in, and if the chip comes from China and they're not producing or doing anything like that anymore because of embargoes and stuff, it's a big problem. Hello. So yeah, it's very interesting times financially, and we shall see where we head from. Hello. Europe's in a real bad position. Trump's trying to shore up America. Russia's in a very good position. Russia's already gone through this pain with the sanctions and everything else that's been put against them. Russia's in a really, really good position. And isn't it crazy that the West's attack on Russia has actually probably, in real terms, created what is the most, how can I put this? Putin put many years ago a small amount of gold to each ruble. He's kind of gold backed the ruble when all this first kicked off. They're self-sufficient. They grow good, clean, quality food, GMO free. You can hear water now. It's the dam wall. We have a dam. Sluice gate runs out to a small thing. So yeah, it's very interesting. Very, very interesting that Russia is probably the quiet dark horse sitting there. I mean, obviously they don't have the gold that China has, but they certainly are in a very, very good position. So with that, guys, I shall love and leave you, because there's a lot of people around and I'm getting a lot of funny looks. So just a quick update. You know, we've got some quantitative easing going on, as in printing money, which is going to devalue the currency of America, and so devalue everybody else. And very, very interesting times ahead. Very interesting times ahead. This game's going to keep on rolling for a little while longer. I've always felt July was going to be a very interesting month, but we shall see. Thank you very much, everyone. Please like, share and subscribe, and blessings to everyone. Bye bye.